What's up? How you doing? Here we are with my daughter Amanda,
Hi.
and I'm going to talk about these. I don't know, they're moccasins, 100% leather, including the shoelaces, and they have a stitching here. This is cloth, but the rest of it is leather, and of course the underneath is rubber. And these are made in Canada. Very comfortable. And I bought them, not to walk around the city with, but I bought them because I get annoyed when I'm walking in the house and my toes smash into a corner, like a 90-degree angle corner, the side of a table, or maybe the foot of your bed, or the molding in the door opening. Very annoying, especially when you crash hard. I don't mean you tap them a little bit. I mean you're walking full speed at 4 miles an hour and you smash your toes into a corner. Very annoying, and it could be painful. So I got these, and they're broken in. They're very comfortable. I tie them up and I walk around the house with them. And even if I smash my toe into something, it does not hurt. So I highly recommend these. Look at these. Made in Canada, like I said. So here we are, Tuesday. What's today? June 7th. June 7th, 2022. Time keeps rolling by. Time is non-stop. And whatever I said is in the past now. You're always in the present, always, constantly, your entire life, and that's the only way you could be. I mean, you can't go sideways in time. But I remember when I was in first grade, and I remember it well, like it was yesterday. I sat in the first row. The entire year she had me in the first row, and right next to me was a blackboard, big blackboard. And every morning we had this notebook, manila colored on the outside. Everybody had one. And so every morning the teacher would write the date, and we had to write all that, practicing our handwriting. And then she would write the weather. Today is sunny. It is, I don't know, 68 degrees out or something like that. And we would write all that down in slow motion. And I remember her doing that as if it just happened a week ago. She would tuck her hand in the back. She'd wear a skirt, and her hand would be tucked in the back, and she would be writing with this one. And I was looking at the date back then, and I was thinking, 2000. That's a long ways off, the year 2000. And so what? It came, it went. The Y2K thing, the whole hysteria with the Y2K. And that's 22 years ago now. 22 years have passed since everybody was talking about, all the computers are going to shut down, the power grid is going to shut down. Either they prevented it from happening, or it wasn't going to happen in the first place, and it was just a lot of paranoia, a lot of hysteria. But it was crazy. But yeah, I remember being in the first grade though, and thinking about the year 2000, just a nice number, 2000, and I was like, wow, that's a long way off. And then a few years ago, more than a few, probably like this is probably in the late 80s. I was talking to somebody who was an old man. Person was probably like in their late 70s at the time, and he was saying to me that when the year 1940 rolled around, everybody, including himself, thought that it was in the future. Like it was so modern. The year 1940. He goes, when we went from 39 to 40. He goes, I kept looking at that number and thinking, wow, it's 1940. I was like, yeah, it's a futuristic number, that 1940. But it's the same way we saw 2000. You know, 2000 to us was like way in the future. I remember being in high school and thinking about the year 2000. And it came and went. No big deal. All the years are like that. The numbers are meaningless. It's not because it has zeros at the end that something special will happen. It could happen in the year 2004. It could happen in 2033. There's no meaning behind the number. So, but the years went by quickly, and you think about it, it's almost like they never happened. It's almost like a false memory, like somebody implanted that memory in your head, and you were always in this moment that you are in right now. And I remember when I got into high school, I was very interested in getting my driver's license. So I would go, I live near railroad tracks, like 5 blocks away, and I used to walk up and down those tracks miles and miles one way, miles and miles the other way. And right next to these tracks, there were these old warehouses that were there probably since like the 30s, and they were just like the skeletons now remaining. And I would go in there and walk around these big warehouses on the side of the railroad tracks, but on the back side was a huge area that was purchased by one of the car dealerships in the area, and they would store all their cars there. All their new cars would be in the back of this area, because I was always wondering, the lot of the dealership was small, and I said, they got like 8 cars here. Where the other cars? Well, they had them in another area a few miles away. So I would go to this area, and this is in the fall time when it was a little chilly out, and I would walk there and I would test the doors. Some of them would open, and what I was fascinated, it was a Chevy dealership. I was fascinated with getting a van, and the Astro vans, they would open up. So I would go and sit in these things, brand new, with the plastic on the seats, and I would sit there pretending like I was going to get the thing someday. So, and then I was thinking, what if somebody comes here and sees me sitting? Be like, excuse me, what are you doing? So I would sit there for a bit, and then I'd get out and look at it again. I'm going to get one of these Astro vans. They're very convenient. This was the one with the captain seats in the back, and then you had a big seat in the back, the third row, and it was very convenient. So I would check them out, and I was always interested in a Suburban, nice Suburban, or a Ford Bronco back then, something like that, 4-wheel drive, even a Jeep. Big fan of Jeeps, but Jeeps were smaller. I wanted some cargo room, but I like Jeeps. The only thing I didn't like about Jeeps is that they tipped over easy. They had this thing, I think, on 2020 one time, and they showed Jeeps going at like 30 miles an hour, and then they would take a sharp turn, and the Jeep would flip. I think maybe they fixed that problem, but back in those days, you had to go around a corner slow in a Jeep. They didn't have, the ability to stick to the ground. But I was a fan of them, especially stick shift. Wanted to get a stick shift Jeep manual and go to the mountains with it. That never happened either, but I'm still a fan of Jeep Renegade, and yeah, nice looking vehicle. And then I had a friend of mine who started talking. We were getting really close to getting our driver's license, and we're like, hey, and this would have been a bad idea, I'm glad it never happened, but how about we buy a van together, and then you get to have it sometimes, and then I get to have it other times, and other times we'll go somewhere together. And we agreed on that, and then we started going around looking at vans, and then that never happened either, and I'm glad it didn't, because we'd be arguing all the time. Hey, I want it now, and he'd say, no, I want it now. Although we got along well, so we didn't have any of that arguing stuff. But you never know when it comes to cars, and you want to take it somewhere, you're gonna get into fights. So that never happened. But yeah, to this day, I like the trucks. I like the sports cars also, like the Pontiac GTO 1967. 400 engine there, and I think it was a 4-speed manual transmission. Love that car. And then the Judge came after that. Was it like 70 or something? 71. That was a good looking car too. But GTO, big fan of GTO. Of course, the Trans Am that came out in 1978 with the eagle on the hood. That was a good car. That was very popular too. I think Burt Reynolds brought it back from the dead, Trans Am. Now Trans Am doesn't exist. Pontiac doesn't exist. But I was a fan of Trans Am. And then I was trying to figure out what to get. Get a Trans Am. And this wasn't even serious. This was just like thinking in a hypothetical situation. What should I get? A Trans Am or Z28? Something like that. Of course, everybody loved the Corvette. But that never happened. But I am, to this day, a big fan of the Suburban, the Ford F-250, Silverado, Jeeps, even Ram. Ram makes great trucks. Cummins, you can't beat the Ram. Ram is a heavy-duty truck. Good-looking truck, too. But the Cummins engines in there, turbo maybe. But the Ford F-250, that's a great truck. Yeah, they're very convenient. They have big gas tanks. You can go anywhere. 4-wheel drive, nice thick tires. I wish they would come up with something that'll give them the ability to do 40 miles a gallon, but nothing yet. Yeah, I'd like to go up, you know, one of these mountains, Colorado, where Grizzly Adams used to live, and go there in the wintertime. Bring a, you know, little portable stove, get some wood, and cook a meal. Nice steak, make steak, baked potato, asparagus, nice tea after, and then set up a tent. I'm watching the show Alone now. Big fan of that show, but I think the contestants make a big mistake when they don't build their shelter at the beginning. You know, you see these guys, they go and they put like a tarp, and then they use that for like 3 weeks or something, and then they say, oh, I better build a shelter. It's getting really cold out, and you know, there's I don't know, cougars walking around, panthers. I need a shelter. But by that point, they haven't eaten that much, and they're weak, they lost some weight, and they don't have the energy. So you have to go and build a shelter right away. Nice shelter with nice lumber. You know, cut trees that are like, you know, 15 inches around, but, you know, like that, 15, 16 inches, and use those as posts all around, and then make a top so that a bear can't find you, or if they find you, they can't eat you. But these guys and some women are on. I always, you know, I'm hoping for the women to win, but so far, you know, it's tough. You got to concentrate and say to yourself, I'm going to be out here for 100 days, and you have to plan for that. But I would build a shelter first. I would bring a slingshot with me, a nice axe. Yeah, you know, I mean, a knife, you know, you got to make a decision. Do I want an axe or do I want a knife? Now I have El Chete. I have that knife, so I could bring that. That's heavy. It's made out of good steel. The handle is solid. I would bring that, and of course a ferret rod. Got to start a fire. You know, fire is the key to keeping you warm, but also psychologically it helps you. It removes the fear from you. Good fire takes away the fear, brightens up the place, and it keeps the animals away too. So, you know, but slingshot definitely. I would be eating sparrows and and whatever they had, quail, and the occasional crow. I eat crow sometimes anyway, you know. But yeah, and you know, fishing is hard in the wintertime. Fish, they go out, you know. You don't really have, you know, the fish close to the shoreline. But if you have fish, you could survive forever. Fish, omega-3, protein, all that stuff, you could survive on fish. But the annoying thing is when there's animals around, wolves, bears, chupacabra, you know. So if, you know, I was a little bit younger, I could probably, you know, do that show. But you get a little older, and then I don't know, you don't feel like going out there for 100 days. And to add to that, I mean, I could do it now, but I'm not a hunter. That's the problem. There's a lot of these people, they know how to hunt. I don't know how to hunt. I had relatives that knew how to hunt, but they hunted with rifles. They didn't hunt with their bare hands or with traps. Mad Jack on Grizzly Adams, he knew how to do all that stuff. That was a good show. But yeah, if you know how to hunt, if you know how to make some traps, you could survive. And if you know how to fish, but fishing, you know, is not really, you know, there's not much you can do. It's like you throw the line with the bait and you wait. It's not like if you're a fisherman, you know how to do some tricks with the line. Either you're gonna catch a fish or you're not. I used to go fishing when I was a kid, and I used to catch fish all the time, and I had no idea what I was doing. Just used to throw the line, used to spin it around. We were old-fashioned people. And I would release it, and it would go maybe like, I don't know, 30 yards in front of me and land on the water, and then I'd pull it out and I'd have a couple of fish. You know, and the fish we would catch were like 2-3 years old. But yeah, love that show, Alone. I think it's easy to survive if you can get over the psychological loneliness factor. Some people, they have a big issue with loneliness. They can't, you know, they can't go a couple of days without seeing a person or speaking to someone. I don't have that problem. You know, that would not be an issue for me, the psychological thing. For me, it would be, can't find any food, or I ate the wrong mushrooms. But as far as, you know, oh, I need someone to talk to, no, I could last on that thing. I could last. But you'd go hungry. You'd leave that place looking like you were a prisoner of war. And they must get thousands of people writing in, I want to be on the show. And then they say, well, what are your skills? And they say, well, I was Boy Scout. I was never a Boy Scout or a Cub Scout or any of that. I did everything kind of like that kind of stuff on my own. I didn't join an organization. I didn't want to be, you know, like told, oh, we're going to do this today, we're going to go. I mean, it looked like fun, but wasn't interested in that. I used to go in the woods by myself when I was a kid and disappear for hours at a time. Nobody looked to me. They're like, yeah, he's coming back later. But yeah, the Boy Scouts of America, they were not far from my house. 3 miles away, they had one of the offices there. And when I was little, we would drive by. Then I was always interested. I was like, join the Boy Scouts and camp and do all these interesting things. It's like that movie Meatballs. But I never joined the Boy Scouts or the Cub Scouts. Anyway, we're gonna eat tonight.
Good food.
Yeah, we're eating spaghetti and meat sauce. I know it's not Wednesday, but it ended up being today that we're gonna eat spaghetti and meat sauce. And I got really, really good meat sauce. I got Black Angus meat sauce, organic and vivid red. So it's very fresh. They just made it when I bought it, but it's made from Black Angus. Anyway, that's it. June, June 7th, 2022.
June.
And the time is 7:31 in the PM. And Amanda's almost done with school.
Yeah, we got like 3 days left, but then we have to come to school for the graduation, so.
Yeah, it's only an hour. Anyway, that's it. What, you got something to say?
No, I'm just saying hopefully it's only an hour.
Yes. Okay.